That frustration you just heard, that's not just commentary. Adam Silver is reportedly at his breaking point with these CBA negotiation. We're 48 hours from a potential lockout, and the gap between what the players want and what the league can actually afford isn't just wide. It's a financial canyon that could shut down the entire 2025.
But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the... You're in a band and you're staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Keep your issues to your...
Here's the number that's causing all the chaos. 30%. The WNBA Players Association submitted a proposal 2 weeks ago, demanding 30% of gross revenue and a salary cap jumping from $1.5 million to $10.5 million per team. Front office. Sports confirmed these figures on January 7th, 2025. The league's response, they calculate this proposal would result in $700 million in losses over the duration of a CBA, not reduced profits, actual losses that would bankrupt teams.
And they suddenly in camp went, oh, we just found a new number one receiver. He's better than Cooper Kupp. They didn't fight it. Did you think when you watched Tom Brady at the Combine, that looked like the GOAT? They had just signed Drew Bledsoe to a $103 million contract. That was a lot of money back then. And then a year in, they're like, I think we're going to go with Brady. They didn't fight it.
Let's be real about what this ranking...
That clip right there reveals the core problem. The unrivaled league has been operating for less than 2 years with a completely different financial model. Yet players are using it as proof that WNBA owners are lying about sustainability. But here's what that comparison ignores. The WNBA has been subsidized by the NBA for 28 consecutive years. In 2023, the league reported a $40 million loss. In 2024, even with the Caitlin Clark effect driving record ratings, they were still $24 million in the red. The players aren't wrong to want more, but they're negotiating as if the money already exists when the financial reality tells a completely different story.
Company in the country would love to go viral every day for free marketing. If they knew how to do it, they'd all be viral every day. Like, you just don't know. Is it authentic? It touches people. There's a tentacle of emotion involved, and suddenly some small town kid goes viral, or a singing frog. Who knows?
Now, let's talk about what the league actually offer, because this is where it gets interesting. In early December, the WNBA proposed giving players 70% of net revenue, not gross revenue like the players want, but net. Sources familiar with the negotiations say this equals approximately 15% of gross league revenue. The salary cap would increase from $1.5 million to $5 million per team. Max salaries would exceed $1.3 million, and average salaries would surpass $500,000 over the duration of the agreement. That's more than triple the current salary cap. For a league that's never turned a profit, that's not a small gesture. But the players rejected it because they want gross revenue sharing. Not now.
Jackson, who was the executive director of the WNBPA, which, by the way, you guys, I didn't realize that Terry Jackson is related to Jaren Jackson, who was an NBA player. I just found that out recently. So she's clearly like been in the basketball world for a while, but she did an interview with CNBC, and I wanted to share with you guys some of her comments about the state of the current negotiations. She said, "We're a little frustrated with where we are right now, but we are holding to our principles. We're staying open to the fact that these negotiations will continue because they must. We'll be at the table for as long as they take, and we're hopeful that there's enough folks on the team side of things that will..."
So here's what makes this negotiation so precarious. Both sides agreed to extend the deadline twice. First on November 30th, when the original CBA was set to expire, and again in late December. But we're now at January 7th with the January 9th midnight deadline approaching. And there's no deal on the table. The WNBA Players Association held a strike. Authorization vote in November with 93% player participation. Of those who voted, 98% authorized the executive committee to call a strike when necessary. That's not a negotiating tactic. That's a loaded gun on the table.
Well, guys, they just introduced Caitlin Clark here in the building, and it was deafening. She has become must-watch basketball here in the state of Iowa. Since she stepped her foot on campus, ticket sales have gone in.
Iowa coming in 22-6.
And here's the mechanism that makes a strike almost inevitable. Under the current CBA terms, players cannot strike without terminating the agreement. But if negotiations enter what's called a status quo period after January 9th, meaning the old agreement continues, while talks proceed, the union can call a strike at any point without warning. No additional vote needed, no additional authorization required. The executive committee already has the power. So, even if we get past January 9th without a lockout, the threat of a mid-season strike would hang over every game, every votes deal, every sponsorship negotiation. That uncertainty alone could devastate the league's momentum.
Should not make this Team USA team. Caitlin Clark destroys in day 2 of Team USA camp, looking like the best player.
Kind of feel like myself out there and just continue to get my lungs back, but I felt like I was moving really well. So
let's put this 30% demand in perspective. The NBA players receive approximately 50% of basketball-related income, but that's a league generating nearly $10 billion in annual revenue. With a proven profit model spanning decades, the WNBA generated approximately $200 million in revenue in 2024, according to industry estimates. 30% of gross revenue from a $200 million league that's currently losing money means the players would be taking $60 million off the top before any expenses are paid. Arena costs, travel, staff, salaries, marketing, broadcast, production, all of that comes out of the remaining $140 million. And remember, the league lost $24 million last year, even without this salary structure. The math doesn't just fail to work, it guarantees bankruptcy within 3 years.
you know, the training staff and player development and everybody that has kind of been there with me, they haven't taken a break either because they, you know, they invest a lot of time and they want me to be successful. So I think for myself, like it's not proving it to yourself again, but it's just that feeling. And I think it just made me smile quite a bit. Like I really did.
Now, here's where Adam Silver's frustration becomes completely understandable. Multiple sources report he believed a deal was essentially done a month ago in early December. The league had made what they considered a generous offer, tripling the salary cap, guaranteeing revenue sharing for the first time in WNBA history, creating a path to max salaries over $1 million. Silver thought the players would counter with minor adjustments. They'd meet in the middle. The deal would be announced before Christmas. Instead, the players came back with a 30% proposal that the league considers financially impossible. Now, Silver has to personally step in and negotiate something he thought was already settled, and the clock is ticking toward a deadline that could result in either a lockout or a strike. That destroys all the momentum Caitlin Clark's rookie season created.